and welcome to week 3 of Slow Lindy. This week we started out by reviewing the move that we taught last week, where we did a slow, and quick. So we just talked about a couple points. The first being the lead committing. Do you want to talk about your lead?
So for leaders, we talked about the fact that when we slowed it down, we kind of sat back to counteract our follows motion. But when we do it at full pace, we commit a bit more weight on 5, and we don't really notice that sitting back quite as much. So if you feel a difference, that's why we're really committing the weight there and bringing it back just in those 2 beats. But we do actually have to wait until she's done with 5, 6, 7, 8, so that it doesn't feel like we're jerking her or cutting her off.
We also talked about leads leading the follow down the line. So even though I'm rotating my body, I'm still taking my hips down the line because I have energy to go that way, and that helps us create that popping feeling that comes out at the end of the move. After that, we went into swing outs, and we talked about adding in the pulse, like on the 8 of the previous move, so that we can go from these quick.
1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So the pulses help us make an easier transition. Then we talked a lot about the swing out. We talked about really trying to slow our movement down and make it feel really like slow and gooey. Like you want to talk about your taffy?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about the swing out feeling like a rubber band sometimes, that we stretch and then we kind of explode together or snap together. When it comes to a slow swing out, we don't really have that explosive feeling. Instead, we have more of a constant stretch and relax. And I think of it more of like a tapping machine as opposed to like a rubber band, where we have a nice steady stretch and then we collapse together, steady stretch and collapse together. There's not as much explosive energy in a nice slow swing out.
So we talked about 3 different spots in the swing out that were helpful in slow dancing. The first is on 1 and 2. We talked about the follows not stepping in. On 1, we are taking our step wherever our lead places it. So usually we're not stepping forward until 2. The second thing we talked about was, what did we talk about next?
We talked about how much time we have extra in the swing out. So normally we kind of have just enough time in our 8 counts. We don't have to rush, but we can get through the swing out. In a slow song, we have tons of added time. So we like to think of ourselves as continuing our motion throughout the whole thing, but also really sitting back into it, really relaxing, letting the stretch more, and just really enjoying and being intentional about where we're moving. So we don't want to slow down to the point that we can't actually do the swing out. We still need to make sure the fundamental points are there. We still have to pass each other. I still have to catch my follow and redirect her back. But we want to take our time with each one, really sit back into it, enjoy every single motion that we have in the swing out, and really let ourselves have fun with all of that.
And last we talked about follows, making sure they continue their movement on the 7 and 8 of the swing out. So if our leads are leading us back, we're continuing to take our motion back. 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm really taking up a lot of space on the 7 and 8. My arm is really, I'm letting it go pretty far, but I still have a bend in my shoulder. It's still in my socket. We talked about how this was different than in fast dancing, when you want to keep your bodies a little closer so that we can move together really quickly. Because we have so much time, we can really let ourselves open up.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we talked about was we showed the follows a move from a pass by. So it looks like this.
1,
step,
2,
trip,
3, and
little
4,
step,
5,
trip,
and
little
6,
step, trip, little step,
8, 9,
and
10.
slide. Basically this is a move where the follow is stealing the lead. We're trying to make it really obvious that we're stealing it by kind of taking smaller steps so that the lead knows we're changing what we normally do. And then
So as a leader, as soon as As soon as I notice that Tracy is stopping her momentum forward and starting to do, or not stopping, but slowing her momentum forward down and starting to do her own thing, as soon as I notice that fact, I give her the room. Oh, she's doing something different. I'm going to give her space and stay out of her way. And I'm just going to keep waiting until the follow has finished their movement. So when Tracy is done, and I see her kind of hook her foot around there, she actually reconnects with me and make sure that we have that connection. And that's how I know that she's ready to go on to another motion. I can lead something else now.
I give that indication that I'm ready by putting my hips back a little bit and making sure that my weight is in my left foot so I can take my 1, 2, just like and I think that's all we had.
That's about it.
All right, see you guys next week.